Let's take a look at how ChatGPT can extend the life of Facebook ads that are performing well. So this morning, I came across a brand that has been putting up these numbers year over year. 2021, 3 million, 2022, 14 million, 2023, 30 to 50 million. And when it comes to profitability, their bottom line net margin, I believe, is 15 to 20%. And they had no external funding outside of an initial SBA loan that was paid off within the first 10 months. And that brand is this brand over here, Flux Footwear. And they sell minimalist, zero drop, barefoot, low profile shoes that are gaining popularity. Like with any brand that I hear about that grows quickly, I like to check out what they're doing with their ads, which is, to be honest, the engine of most direct-to-consumer brands these days. Upon taking a look at the active ads that they're running right now, 215, the interesting thing that comes to mind for me is that they are doing very healthy top-line numbers and bottom line as well. And all the pages that they're sending traffic to are product pages. We can see that over here because inside of the slug of the URL, we can see that they're all /products. And if we click over on the actual links, we hop over and we can see these are PDPs. When it comes to extending the life of Facebook ads, especially the ones that are doing well, I think about a few tactics that you can use to do that. One of the tactics is scale up budget, which is pretty obvious, but it's not obvious in practice. And that is you actually want to make sure that you're not throttling budget by mistake on ads that are actually doing well. And one of the ways that we like to approach that is to use cost controls with inflated budgets so that we don't have to be the ones limiting budget. So that's tactic number one. But tactic number two is the one that I want to talk about today, which is related to the fact that they are only sending traffic to PDPs. Tactic number two is to send traffic of the same ad to different landing pages and PDPs. And the reason why I like to do this is because the ads that you've already spent money paying for, like with creators or designer or video editors, you've already dropped money, time, and energy into these assets. And the way I like to think about it is, since we already dropped resources into this, we may as well utilize them to the fullest extent through the mechanism of sending to more than one destination URL. What we're going to cover today is using some very simple, non-fancy prompts to come up with a landing page or landing page ideas for Flux. Because right now I'm refining some prompts for this brand over here that we're working with, who right now doesn't have very meaningfully structured landing pages, but they're doing very well because if you can see the sessions and the revenue, and you run the math on this, dividing the revenue by the sessions, it's about $9 a session, which is well above average from most of the brands we work with. And it helps that they've got a pretty sick AOV. So working on stuff for them and going to use Flux as a guinea pig for the prompts that I'm refining. And one more word about strategy when it comes to landing pages that goes beyond the fact that they can extend the life of Facebook ads by utilizing more than one destination URL. And that is, with landing pages, you can increase conversion rate. You can also increase AOV. And how that works is we can think about the flow of traffic. We have an ad or some sort of traffic source. Then we have going to a landing page. And then from there, we go to a PDP. And then from here, we do cart checkout, which I'm just going to aggregate here for brevity, even though those are separate steps in the funnel. And strategically, right now, as an example with Flux, they are going through this flow where the landing page is not in the mix and just going straight to PDP. And where landing pages can support, especially with higher AOV products, is they can help with bridging the gap between the ad and the PDP, where people can understand a little bit more and self-educate, of course, without feeling like it's education, on why it is they may want to consider the product and maybe why it's a good fit for them, and also why they want to or why they should make a purchase now as opposed to later. So let's just get into a few examples of what landing pages look like, and then we'll get into the prompts. So here's Jones Road Beauty. They do well over 100 million a year. We can pull up one of their landing pages over here. You can see it's a listicle style landing page that precedes a PDP. So this is a 5 reasons, 5 things listicle, and they sell like no makeup, which is pretty cool. And then there's Hollow Socks. They're on the way to 50 million a year this year. And this one is not listicle, but rather it is answering a question on the difference between cotton and alpaca socks. So we can see here, let's see, actually it is listicle. So they have 5 reasons. So we can scroll through, and again, it precedes the PDP. And of note, these brands are of comparable size to Flux. You can see the strategy that Hollow takes is sending a large percentage of their traffic to landing pages as opposed to PDPs. And same with Jones Road over here, where right now this landing page is taking up 36% of the destination URLs. And a quick note, we actually built an agent related to landing pages that you can see over here if you want more AI related tactics to whip up landing pages. Okay, let's do a walkthrough and some commentary of using ChatGPT to simply and very quickly whip up landing pages that are pretty high quality. And if I were to compare it to the past, like 5 years ago, what it's spitting out is stuff that is comparable to what you'd be paying a copywriter somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 for, and having to wait maybe 2 weeks for in order to get the output back, which is something that I think we all need to be mindful of, which is just because the outputs from AI tend to be quick doesn't mean that the value is low. I think we all innately may have a little bit of a bias to where if something takes a little bit longer of a time to produce, that there's more inherent quality with it, and the opposite being true as well. Or rather, assuming that the opposite is true when it's not. So here's a little bit of a walkthrough. Started off with, what do you know about Flux footwear? So just primed it a little bit to have some context around where we're going to go. So we're going to be talking about Flux footwear. The next thing that I mentioned was the large majority of their ads on Meta go to PDPs. I want to craft a landing page that they can use as an alternative destination URL so they can squeeze more performance out of their existing creatives. Help me structure a high converting landing page for them. Do not put on the marketer hat. This is a nuance that I've been enjoying lately. Instead, put on the helper hat and structure the landing page in such a way that it's helpful and useful to the person showing up on the landing page. My philosophy with marketing is that being helpful is more effective than being a marketer, especially for products that contain inherent functional features such as Flux Footwear's shoes. So this is something that I've been hot on lately and how I've been approaching marketing. And that's from the frame of how can I be helpful as opposed to how can I be convincing? Because I actually think that the easiest way to be convincing is to just be helpful and not get all weird and fancy and complicated when trying to get people to buy your stuff. Let's scroll down and see what it came up with. And let's do a recap of just the structure first, and then we'll look at the copy samples that it gave. Starts off with a hero section, then a quick visual comparison, then what makes Flux different, which Flux model fits your movement best, so which model of shoe. Still not sure, here's how to pick, testimonials, AQ, final section of explore other shoes, and then bonus optional why we started, sort of story from the founder. Overall, I think it's pretty good as far as a starting point goes to work with. And that's really where I've found the value in working with these models, is they are great as collaboration partners. I love this headline, shoes that move the way you do, because I think that captures the essence of what Flux is built upon and what they're trying to bring into the world and the problem that they're solving, right? Designed for feet that want to move naturally, find the model that matches your routine, whether you're running trails, lifting weights, or walking to clear your mind. And then there's an optional CTA button, which I typically like to delay a little bit when it comes to landing pages so that people actually are, to some degree, they have to go through consuming your content before actually having a call to action. All right, I'm just going to skip down below to the next prompt that was used. And that was, let's tailor the landing page specifically to the Adapt Runner. And that's because when I did a little checkout and refresher on the destination URLs that the brand has been doing, they've been sending most of their traffic to the Adapt Runner, which is a clue that it's probably what's selling the best right now. And also a clue that that's what's converting. For the purpose of prompting, instead of having it be a general landing page for all of their shoes, we can focus on just the Adapt Runner. But then in a subsequent version, we can use one that's catered to allowing people to choose, or rather be educated on all the different types or categories of models. And it goes back to here, where you don't have to necessarily send traffic to just one landing page, but rather send to lots of different ones and see which ones pick up steam. It's a way for you to get more out of the ads that are already performing or what you've invested in and you want to test, because this tactic doesn't have to be something that you do only on winning ads, or rather ads that are performing for you. They can be, this tactic can be done from the get-go whenever you're testing new ads. So let's review what it said. It's got it here. The Adapt Runner is designed to move with you, not against you. Zero drop, wide toe box, and flexible sole. So pretty accurate to what the product is about, who it's for. I like that it's helpful, right? Is this shoe right for you? Or is this the right shoe for you? If you've ever said, I want to run with my feet feeling cramped, cushion shoes make me feel disconnected from the ground. I'm not a minimalist runner, but I want to feel more natural. Then the Adapt Runner might be a better fit than the shoes you've been using. What I like here is actually they threw in a little bit of a pun, right? A better fit. The other thing that I like about what it did here was these quotes are actually something that I think is reflective of the consumer and the persona who would be landing on this page. Because keep in mind, they're seeing these ads and then they're landing on the page. So there's already a little bit of an interest in this category of shoe. And just on a personal note, for me, I am actually interested in myself because a few weeks ago, I had some issues with my left foot because at home, we've been, my family, we walk around and slide. Rather, I do. My wife doesn't anymore, but I walk around the house in slides and I've been doing it for years. And the problem is it's weakened my feet, especially my left foot, to the point where I was having some pain. And for me, I've had this belief ever since I've done some rehab on other parts of my body that a lot of pain can be caused by, or rather not caused by, but rather can be solved with strengthening. And so what I ended up doing was I just stopped walking around the house in slides. And since then, within about a week, I noticed a huge improvement to the point where I've been able to get back into running because I took some time off for it because of my pain. So I've been in the market for a product like this. And what they're saying here is actually pretty accurate to the thoughts that I've been having in my own head. Okay, what's next here? What you'll notice first. So what I like about the subtlety here, right? And it's AI generated, but I really like what it's doing. It's future pacing the fact that you are going to buy these shoes, like just the language that it's chosen. And it's not doing it in a way that's weird and like hypey or over the top, but it's doing it in a way that's also helpful. It's like, it's basically saying, here's what you're going to expect, right? And the future pacing and the framing of the presumption that you're going to be buying the shoe is sort of baked in here as a secondary benefit to us as advertisers. So zero drop platform, wide toe box, flexible sole. And what's great here is it's mentioning not just the feature, right? These are all features, but also the benefit, right? Why the feature matters in the first place. Wide toe box lets your toes spread, improving balance and stability. Flexible sole moves with your foot, not against it. Soft knit upper, breathes easy, feels like a sock. And then machine washable, built for real life use, easy to clean. And what I love about this is, like, even with seasoned copywriters, it's not uncommon to get too in the weeds with focusing on features and not mentioning benefits, or when writing benefits to make the benefits just seem a little bit too over the top and extrapolated. I feel like it's done a pretty good job here. Next section, we have comparison to other shoes, how it's different from what you might be wearing now. Again, I love this frame of that it's followed, which I gave it, which is, let's put on our helper hat and let's not be a marketer. They're doing a very simple comparison for what you may be looking for when it comes to specs when looking for a new shoe. So heel toe drop, pretty common spec that you want to look for. Toe box, flexibility, upper material, ground feel, and washable. It's a reiteration of what's up here, but it's showing it in a different way because it's made for dual readership, which is for the person, and this can be the same person, but version 1 of me as a consumer might be skimming through the page and not really paying attention, and then only coming through and looking at it more carefully and reading word by word after I've decided, after skimming, that it's worth my time. Having it laid out this way where we're sort of reiterating what was here in the next section, I think is quite helpful. And again, it impresses me that AI is this good. It does a comparison of a traditional running shoe with the Adapt Runner. And it's done it in a tasteful way where the comparison does put the Adapt Runner in a nice light, but it does it in a way that it's not untasteful. All right, next section, we have real use cases. So use case for the 3 to 5 mile daily runner, which I sit in, former minimalist runner, casual jogger, dog walker, recovering from injury. And then some quotes from customers, which you'd probably want to swap in actual testimonials of, unless it scraped the testimonials and threw in accurate testimonials. And then some sizing and fit tips. And the nuance here that I think it's done a good job of is because shoes tend to have the biggest objection of, will it fit me? I'm glad that there's a section here for that. So they address it, fits true to size for most. Your toes should have space to move, not touch the front. The midfoot should feel secure, but not tight. First wear, give your calves and arches a few days to adjust, which I think this is pretty accurate too. Again, I'm impressed with the level of detail that AI has here because I have gone a little bit more minimalist in the past. And this is a common thing that other shoe companies will say, but also something that you will likely experience yourself if you go a little bit more minimalist with your footwear. Then there's a review section. And what's good is they're using relatable people who will cover the personas of people who may be interested in the shoe. Runners, more casual runner, marathon finisher, and then someone who works remote and runs in the morning, or rather in the morning. And then an FAQ section, which again is, in my opinion, where you can typically reiterate what's already been said on other parts of the page and even other parts of the ad. But again, we have to remember that most people, including myself, including all of us as consumers, we don't read marketing material, we don't read ads, we don't read web pages the way we do textbooks in school. A lot of it's skimming. This allows for consumers to stumble upon the information that can be helpful to them in multiple different ways. And the FAQ is a nice way to reiterate the same stuff, just in a different way, so that they can stumble across it and have their questions answered. And again, on the theme of the prompt, we can be helpful to them because being helpful is the most convincing thing we can do. And the last section, ending it off with a call to action. It's pretty good. This is, I think, I'm not going to say quick and dirty, but I think it's a quick and quality way for you to come up with landing pages, especially if you're in a situation like Flux, where you're currently running a lot of your traffic to PDPs and you haven't experimented with landing pages, or if you want to squeeze more performance out of the ads that you're already running or upcoming ads that you're testing, and you want to improve your surface area of luck for finding what can scale. And I want to reiterate that, this right here, if we were to fill it out with a little bit more copy, is stuff that wouldn't be unusual. You'd pay $2,000 to $10,000 for to a copywriter and then have to wait 2 to 4 weeks to get back. And then because it took them so much time, you'd be like, oh, okay. When it came back, it's not all the way there. It's like 80% of the way there, but I'm happy with it. But now AI and ChatGPT, Claude, other tools can do this for you within a matter of seconds. And for me, the constant thing that I'm having to remind myself of is that just because it's fast doesn't mean it's low quality. The next step here would be to work on it with a designer to then load it up into a landing page builder of your choice, whether it's Page Deck, Replo, Shogun, whatever it is, and then you're ready to rock. As a recap, here's the main prompt that you can then use to further prompt and chat with ChatGPT. That's actually how the most useful way that I've gone about working with language models, whether it's ChatGPT or others, is to actually just have conversations with them and not try to be a masterful prompter. And whenever getting stuck, just starting a new chat. Let's read it again. The large majority of their ads on Meta go to PDPs. And then this is where you could start it, is with this line here. I want to craft a landing page that they can use as an alternative destination URL so they can squeeze more performance out of their existing creatives. And you can just swap they for me if you're doing it for your own brand. Help me structure a high converting landing page. Do not put on the marketer hat. Instead, put on the helper hat and structure the landing page in such a way that it's helpful and useful to the person showing up on the landing page. My philosophy with marketing is that being helpful is more effective than being a marketer, especially for products that contain inherent functional features, such as your product. And then you get what we looked about, or what we reviewed earlier. That's over here, the one that's specific to the Adapt Runner. One last note is that this doesn't have to be done in ChatGPT. You can do this in any model that you want. But if you're working out of it anyway, because you're doing image generation in here, then it's a quick place for you to go. And if you want more on landing pages, in particular, an agent that can help with spitting out landing pages for you when it comes to modeling brands that you see, then check this guy out over here.